Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Ginetta Junior's official eSeries, the third round of racing, brought to you tonight from the home of British motorsport. We are racing at the short, sharp and always exciting Silverstone National Circuit, a circuit really made for Ginetta Junior racing, and very excited to see what pans out across the next two rounds of what's already set to be a very competitive championship. Andy McEwen here in the commentary box talking you through all of the action. We've got Tom O'Farrell, who is in charge of the broadcast. Scott Thorne back now in his rightful place as our race director and safety car driver, with Mick Sutton overseeing it all. It's a small team that does a lot of hard work to put all of this together, and we're all very excited to see what is going to happen over the course of the two races set to take place tonight. We raced at Donington Park a week ago. That was our second round. It all kicked off actually on the 24th of August with the first two races around the international layout at Alton Park. After this week, we head to Snetterton, Cadwell Park, Brands Hatch, Donington Grand Prix circuit once again, and then the Silverstone circuit will once again play host to the championship finale. So a busy season, lots of exciting racing still to be had, and as I said, I've got a really good feeling actually about tonight's two races, that they should be perhaps the most exciting ones yet. Well, come the end of the season, we will have a champion, and that champion will be entered for free into the Ginetta Scholarship, the annual end-of-season Ginetta competition, which could be the beginning of a driver's career in real-world motorsport. And this is a fantastic opportunity to get free entry into that famous scholarship. The runner-up at the end of the season gets a bracelet courtesy of Mongrip, and third-place driver has or will receive a 32-inch MSI gaming monitor. There's also a Driver of the Round award given out, each round, surprisingly, which is decided by the broadcast team, and they will receive a pair of Freem UK sim racing gloves to add to their sim racing setup. So lots on offer, but it's that big prize, the free entry to the Ginetta Scholarship, that will go the way of just one driver come season's end. Well, who is that driver going to be? We're still not that close to finding out, honestly, with only 4 races gone so far. This is how the championship table looks early doors. Now, each driver can drop their lowest scoring round through the first 7 rounds of the season. You're not allowed to drop the final week of racing at Silverstone, but across those first 7 weeks, you can forget all about your lowest scoring week. That means that having done 2 rounds, the drop scores already are applied, and it's George Robinson who's got a very slender lead, just 2 points clear of Nathan Williams, because George's best scoring round, which was actually a week ago at Donington Park, was slightly better than Nathan's very good round at Alton Park at the start of the season. There's then a bit of a gulf back. 18 points adrift of the championship leader is our third place driver and our most recent driver of the round, Louis Neal, who sits third in the championship. William Antrobus is 4th position at the moment, and both of those two drivers looking for their first wins. In fact, all of the races so far won by either George Robinson or Nathan Williams. Albert Henriksen Bell then is 5th place, James Pepper 6th, Adrian Rios Garcia 7th, ahead of Dalton Hayward. Naveen Kishore absent tonight, unfortunately, sits 9th in the championship, and Liam Bradley completes the top 10 drivers. But as you can see, those top 2 already starting to slightly distance themselves from the rest of the field. Is that going to be the case, though, at the end of tonight? Because the Silverstone National Circuit, known for producing great slipstream action whenever the Ginetta Juniors are in town in real life, and I'm sure in the sim things are not going to be a huge amount different, and that could open the door, perhaps, for some other drivers to come in and maybe win some races. It's one of those tracks where, as long as you're capable of running within about half a second a lap of the quickest drivers, you should be able to stay with them in the slipstream and perhaps become a factor for race victory come the end of the 20-minute encounter. So just staying in that lead group could well promote a few new names to the top of the timing tower and the top step of the podium. Well, before all of that, we've got to qualify, got to set our grid for the first race of the night. Qualifying already well underway. We've only got just over 5 minutes, actually, of the 15 to go, and it is, at the moment, Nathan Williams then, who is fastest. The man second in the championship is on provisional pole position, but George Robinson, the championship leader, only third, so immediately we're starting to see things tightening up quite nicely. There is George, making his way through Copse Corner now. They are split, the two early pre-season championship contenders by Adrian Rios Garcia, who is at the moment due to start on the outside of row number 1. Dalton Hayward, we caught a glimpse of. He's 4th quickest at the moment, ahead of Liam Bradley and Harley Connolly, completing the top 6. But look how close the times are. The top 9 separated by less than 9/10 of a second. So already does look as though things are going to be a bit closer than perhaps we saw at the first 2 weeks of racing. On board here with George Robinson, getting a nice slipstream here down the Wellington Straight and onto the brakes into Brooklands. Using all of that curve on the way in, wide, and the entry into this ever-tightening left-hander. Use all the curb on the inside and then really try and roll it through Luffield. The car ahead is Luke Armstrong, who sort of stays out of the way. I'm not sure how intentional that was, and in fact I don't think it was intentional at all, because he's still hanging to the outside of George Robinson, who has been going quicker on this lap so far. Is it good enough though to take the pole position away? He's been hampered surely through the final couple of corners. To the timing line he will go, and is it going to be a new pole position time? No, not quite. That little delay in the final sector just costing him pole position in the end by 36 thousandths of a second. Gets a big snap of oversteer through Copse, and that might well now have not started his next lap in the best of fashion. Great news is though, because it's only a 70-second lap, you can get plenty of laps in the qualifying session. George really pushing hard there. Look again, lots of opposite lock required through Beckett's. Someone else having an even bigger moment in the background and drifting wide over the grass, but George Robinson pushing hard here to try and knock Nathan Williams off the pole position. Further back, meanwhile, we've got Albert Henriksen Bell here. He currently sat 8th in the times, and he makes his way out of Luffield, giving a nice slipstream to somebody else, and I'm surprised we're not seeing more of this, more drivers perhaps choosing to work together, given the importance of slipstreaming around a place like this. Is Henriksen Bell going to improve upon 8th place? Needs to find a couple of tenths of a second to do so. Didn't find them on that lap, and well, if anything, it's the car behind that could benefit more really from having that slipstream. That car behind in question is Dalton Hayward, the real deal, as he calls himself, and well, actually he's waved on by there by Henriksen, who towed him through that time. Henriksen then flashes the lights at Dalton, perhaps trying to signal to him, right, okay, I've towed you around, now it's your turn to do me a favour. Maybe we'll see Henriksen Bell improving more on the next lap, but Dalton Hayward, I think, might be wise to that and has backed off, I reckon. Yes, he has. So neither of them wants to be the car in front, and Dalton Hayward's actually quite content to sacrifice that lap to drop back in behind Henriksen and try to go quicker again. Meanwhile, Nathan Williams off Luffield, not improving on this particular lap, but only 36 thousandths of a second to the good. There's no improvement coming in just yet for George Robinson either, though. These two, who have been so evenly matched across all 4 of the races so far this season, are once again proving to be very equal here at Silverstone too. Nathan Williams, very wide over the curb, but that should just about be okay within track limits. And then down into Maggots and Beckett's, onto the brakes. Nose of the car dips down as he lurches into the right-hander. Just the 2 sector times to monitor around this very short circuit. So the first sector ends about 2/3 of the way down this Wellington Straight, I think. We'll get to see in a moment whether Nathan is improving on his previous best or not. And if he is, might be about to pull further ahead. Yes, he is, but only fractionally. Look, he's 100th of a second up on his previous best time. Takes a very early turn in there to Brooklands, which you can do in these Ginetta Junior cars, actually. You're not carrying a huge amount of speed through the middle of the corner. You don't wash out too wide on the exit. Hugs the curb then through Luffield, up through the gears. Again, keeps it very tight out of Luffield corner, not wasting any of that extra momentum off the turn. Let's see then, has he been able to keep the gains coming? He's keeping to the right-hand side again there for the shortest route to the line. Is it going to be another improvement? The answer is yes. It's by about 300ths. So, well, yeah, 300ths in the end. And he is now 0.069 of a second clear. And George Robinson on his latest lap, not improving in the sectors. So, he is likely to stay in second for the time being. The only driver at the moment really improving. Oh, hang on, I say that. George Robinson just pumped in a purple second sector, so he's perhaps just starting to get up to speed now. Louis Neal, though, had improved in sector 1. You can see that. He's up by a little bit in the first part of the lap, and he looks as though he might be about to improve from 8th on the grid here. Up to the timing line he will go, and can he jump up a row or so? It's a 1:11.196. It's good enough for 6th place, so he does jump 2 places on the grid, and just snuck through before the checkered flag came out, but then he runs very wide out of Cop's corner, and that's likely going to be the end of his improvements within qualifying anyway. Now, what about George Robinson then? First sector, not an improvement, about a couple of tenths off, I think, where he needs to be. So George Robinson, I think, is going to have to settle for second place here. There's someone getting very sideways in front of him, but the number 23 car winds its way through Brooklands, through Luffield. And George Robinson, twice a winner so far this season. He's had 2 second-place finishes as well, and has therefore never finished worse than second across any of the 4 races so far, whereas Nathan Williams has been a bit more hit and miss because Nathan had that contact at Donington last time out in the reversed grid race. And so he's had 2 wins and a 3rd-place finish, but it's that little bit of extra consistency for George Robinson that ultimately gives him the championship lead. But it is Nathan Williams who's going to have the pole position here at Silverstone, seemingly. Louis Neal heading for the pit lane as well. That means that everyone is done in qualifying, and it is going to be a pole position yet again for Nathan Williams. Nathan Williams to start from the front of the grid, but George Robinson more than close enough to his pace that we should be in for a good battle between the two of them. And then you actually have to go back another 10th and a half or so, don't you, to find Adrian Rios Garcia in 3rd place. He's looking for his first podium of the season so far. 6 drivers so far have had podium finishes, although one of them is the absent Levine Kishaw, who's not chosen to race here at Silverstone. But Nathan Williams has, and Nathan joins us now in the commentary box after another successful qualifying session. Nathan, well done. Pole position is yours again before our first race of the night, but it's so tight out there, isn't it? A short lap, very close qualifying times, a powerful slipstream as well to deal with. What do you think we're going to see out of these races? Lots of close racing, I hope.
Yeah, we have interesting race because track's so short, it's really difficult to overtake with the slipstream on the next straight.
Ah, that's interesting then. So you don't think that slipstream, it might keep everyone close together, but it's not necessarily going to be creating easy overtakes then?
No, because if you just go around the outside of those corners, just keeping the speed, you get such an easy run down the long straight, so he's just overtake someone back.
Right, okay, so that's going to make this a difficult race to manage, especially because you've got your big championship rival starting right alongside you as well. So any hint maybe of you two working together at any point to try and break away from the rest of the pack, or is it every man for themselves right from the start?
Probably every man for themselves, because obviously our driver just try and build as big a point gap as possible, and just hope he makes a mistake and falls back to the field.
It is one of those tracks, though, isn't it, where other drivers look like they're going to get involved in the fight as well. So who else are you looking at as being big competition in this race, apart from George?
Well, obviously, Adrian Rios Garcia, he's probably the second closest. But I reckon some people a bit further back could still probably have a chance later in the race.
And what do we think the plan should be at the end of the race then? Do you want to be in the lead on the last lap? Do you want to be in second place? I know you've just touched upon how the slipstream is going to affect the racing here. Have you got a game plan for where you want to be at the end, or just see sort of how it goes?
Well, preferably as far ahead as possible, but the best strategy is probably just after Cops. If you head there, you're probably at the best advantage.
Right, okay, so as long as you're in the lead at the start of the last lap, that should do you well, in theory. Sounds like a good theory to me. How satisfied are you with the season so far then? I was mentioning just now that, you know, you've had those couple of wins, slightly less consistency than George, but a lot of that really came down to that bit of bad luck last time at Donington, didn't it?
Yeah, I've been quite pleased. Obviously, a bit of bad luck, but apart from that, I'm quite happy with my performances. So obviously, just hope the luck turns around and maybe George gets a bit of bad luck from here on out.
Well, these things do have a habit, generally, of coming and going over the course of a season. So, Nathan, we'll leave you to it. Thank you for having a quick chat with us. Maybe we'll be talking to you again after the race, but congratulations at least on pole position.
Thanks, yeah.
So, Nathan Williams then, pole for the first race of the night. 2 20-minute races to come, and they will both be pretty frenetic, I think. We saw last time out at Donington Park a fairly quiet first race, in fairness. Race 2 was then your typical reversed grid action, but this is a very different kind of racetrack, one that, as I keep saying, should keep everyone nice and closely bunched together. Although interesting there to hear from Nathan, he didn't necessarily expect the slipstream to be quite as powerful as I maybe am expecting it to be, and that could change the dynamic of the racing then. Maybe you're not going to be able to just drive up alongside people in the way that we expected. We will find out, though, in the next few minutes. We're less than a minute away now from getting our first race of the night underway. The black and white striped car then is number 5, Nathan Williams. He starts from pole position. George Robinson in the white, red and blue starts alongside him. And then those hunting for their first victories of the season, Adrian Rios Garcia, Dalton Hayward, Liam Bradley, Louis Neal, all together, all looking pretty evenly matched after that qualifying session as well. And those further back looking to try and just get some decent points on the board and maybe put themselves in a position where they can be contending for the victory in race number 2. So we have 30 seconds before the red lights will go on. And that start's going to be quite important, actually. I saw at Donington last time something that surprised me a bit, actually. It's possible to get a decent amount of wheel spin out of these cars if you're a bit too eager on the loud pedal. So despite the fact they're not very powerful, they have enough power that you've got to think about this start procedure. And it's quite a long run down into Copse Corner. So if one of you gets a good start and the car alongside doesn't, you could see some positions changing. Here we go then. Red lights go on. Red lights go out now. We're away in racing at Silverstone. Good start made by the poles. And Williams will chop immediately over to the right-hand side of the road to cover from George Robinson, who will try and generate some momentum maybe through Copse Corner and have a go down into Maggots and Beckett's for the first time. Through the right-hander they go. And Nathan Williams and George Robinson clear out in front. But here, I think already is coming the first challenge from Robinson. He's looking to the inside line as we head down towards Maggots and Beckett's. They are indeed side by side. And Robinson on that inside line. Is he going to go through into the race lead? Yes, he does. So Robinson immediately manages to get that better run out of Copse, got to the inside at Beckett's, and now he is punching the hole in the air for Nathan Williams to try and benefit from maybe down the Wellington straight. That's exactly what's happening. Look, Nathan Williams pulls out of the slipstream, goes to the outside line, and as we hit the brakes into Brooklands, he's going to try and go right round the outside maybe of his big championship rival. That's exactly what he's going to try and do, but desperately late on the brakes is Robinson, who really wants to try and hold on to that track position advantage. It's Garcia in 3rd, Hayward 4th, Bradley 5th and Neal in 6th. So they're all still in grid order. It's only really the top 2 who have changed position, and it is George Robinson then, it looks like, who's going to lead the opening lap of the race. Nathan Williams, though, ducks into that slipstream again. You can see there from the onboard camera visibly how that benefits him through Woodcote Corner. Shown the outside line into Copse Corner. That's not really the place that you want to be. Maybe better to try and get that switchback, try and do to Robinson what he did to him a lap ago. And that's exactly what happens. He's up the inside line. Someone, I think that was Dalton Hayward, going way wide, and there is a slide. That's Harley Connolly going around. Harley Connolly with a spin out of Copse Corner and just gently grazes the barrier, but no major harm done. Front of the field it is Nathan Williams back out in front, so that's 2 lead changes already. As further back, James Pepper takes advantage of a Louis Neal mistake at Beckett's Corner to pick up 7th place. So Louis Neal starting to slip down the order slightly. Now, at the front of the pack, look what's happening. Adrian Rios Garcia is on the tail of George Robinson. So Robinson led, then he lost the lead again at the start of lap 2, and now he's having to defend a little bit because other drivers are using that slipstream to well and truly buy into this lead battle. 5 of them really in a line. Williams, Robinson, Garcia, Hayward and Bradley, with a bit of a gap back then to William Antrobus. You can just see in the mirrors the sort of dark yellow, gold and black car. Riding on board though with Dalton Hayward as we head past the pits, and this looks like being a typical Ginetta Junior race, doesn't it really? The race leader goes through, then Nathan Williams with a half a second cushion over George Robinson. Robinson with a much neater line look through Copse Corner. The race leader runs out wide, and we've got to be careful doing that. You can easily pick up a penalty for exceeding track limits. And, well, they seem to gain out of that, you'd have to say. Dalton Hayward with a slightly strange line into Maggots and Beckett's there as he tries to stay on terms with Adrian Rios Garcia ahead, but Garcia dropping away slightly now from the top 2. Actually, Nathan Williams with a little bit of breathing space over George Robinson, so that was an important move that he made to get the lead back again at the start of lap 2. Here comes William Antrobus. He's up the inside of Liam Bradley now. And that is for 5th position. Slips up the inside at Brooklands. He does now move into the top 5. So William Antrobus, 4th in the points, had 1 podium finish so far this season. That was a 2nd place, but yet to have a race victory, and he's going to have to go some to get one in this race. A little side-by-side exchange between these two, though, has just dropped them away from the leading quartet and perhaps back into the clutches now of Louis Neal, James Pepper. You've got Henriksen as well in there, Albert Henriksen Bell, all in a long line. Not a million miles behind this group of cars, which all runs quite wide out of Copse Corner. New fastest lap for Robinson, by the way, as he tries to chase after Nathan Williams, but Williams pulling the pin slightly now. He's 8/10 up the road. So quite surprising to see the ability to pull away, really, at the front of the pack. Slipstream not quite powerful enough to allow Robinson to stick with Williams. This battle, though, continuing on, as now Bradley does look like he's struggling, doesn't he? Louis Neal coming up to challenge. Now, Neal did start a bit further up the order than this. He's trying to make amends for that. Looks at the inside, sideways for Bradley, gathers it together, but runs out of road. And Liam Bradley bounces his way back on the circuit, 1 place further down the order than he was, though. So just a bit too late on the brakes there. Tried to carry a bit too much speed into the left-hander at Brooklands. The rear of the car stepped out on him. Good hands, though, to save the slide. And here, Hayden Gray is chasing after Luke Armstrong now. Harley Connolly a little detached from this group, and he's not the only one, actually. A couple of others, Oliver Newton and Finn Richardson, also a bit further back than they'd like to be. They're all kind of having a private battle away from the lead pack after some earlier dramas. Right on board with Hayden Gray, you can see the different interpretations there of track limits coming out of Copse Corner, and Hayden Gray, a different interpretation of the braking point at Beckett's. That was a lovely move. And oh, there's carnage ahead. That's Bradley around, isn't it? That is Bradley and Henriksen Bell, who have both collided coming out of Beckett's corner. So not quite sure what happened there, but both of them rejoining, and they will now join that group of cars at the back to have had dramas. Hayden Gray perhaps delayed somewhere as well, although he's going to have another lunge up the inside at Brooklands, and that's going to end in a spin, surely. Well, again, oh no, he has lost it. Gets the wheel on the grass, and around he goes. And he's now sat in a very precarious position as well to get himself off the track, and gets back underway again. But Hayden Gray just a little erratic under braking there, and that's the last thing you want to be around here. You've got to be smooth in these cars, especially around a circuit like Silverstone, and can't be jabbing at the pedals or twitching away on the steering wheel. You've got to be nice and smooth with your inputs going into the turns, out of the turns, particularly corner entry. They're very easy to unsettle, these cars, under braking. So Adrian Rios Garcia then sat in 3rd position. See those top two just continuing to get away from him, but also continuing to separate from each other, really, which is a bit of a disappointment. We wanted to see a good battle between these two, but you can't deny Nathan Williams' ability here out in front of the field to just pull a gap and get away from the driver behind. Out of Beckett's goes Albert Henriksen Bell. Part of the circuit where it all went wrong for him a lap ago. Hayden Gray there just ahead of him as he winds his way down the Wellington Straight. Nathan Williams looking to try and do at the front of the field exactly what he did in the first race at Donington a week ago, and just break away from the rest of the pack whilst they all battle behind, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. This is again that group of drivers who have all had dramas in this race, and there are more of them now gathering at the back of the field. So you've got Oliver Newton in 12th place, Hayden Gray just ahead of us 13th, and Albert Henriksen Bell 14th place in the slipstream. Newton making no attempt there to hit the apex through Woodcote Corner. That is going to slow him down, I think, down into Copse. So Hayden Gray sees a chance, goes up the inside, slips through, but outbrakes himself. And they both run wide, and Albert Henriksen Bell says, "Thank you very much, I'll get up the inside." Oh, Newton tried to come over to the right-hand side of the road. He finds himself getting pinched in the middle, 3 wide now, but Henriksen Bell's already cleared them both. Lovely stuff that from Albert Henriksen Bell, who has gone through into 12th place. We know he should be a bit quicker than these drivers anyway, based on qualifying form. living up to that potential at the moment. So they head down the Wellington Straight. Already heading out of Luffield is William Antrobus as he dices away with Dalton Hayward. This is for 4th position. And Dalton Hayward slipping away from the top 3. Again, a 10.5 quicker that time as Nathan Williams than George Robinson behind. So the gap's over a second now as Antrobus has a peek to the inside of Kopp's corner. Oh, he didn't fully commit. There's a bit of a touch. They're both going to get sideways. No, they're both off the road. Oh, and along comes Louis Neal as well. And someone else collecting him. That's James Pepper getting into the spinning Dalton Hayward. And that's, oh dear me, well, that was all a bit messy and a little bit unnecessary, you'd have to say. And they're going to keep on losing places. Harley Connolly now coming steaming through. But Antrobus and Dalton Hayward there, just... contact was very avoidable, really, wasn't it? And let's hope their cars aren't too badly damaged and they can at least salvage something out of the race, because that was looking like a good battle. They have at least both rejoined exactly where they were, basically, battling with each other, just a few places further back. So we at least get to see the battle resumed. But... I think maybe there might be a little bit of bad blood now between these two. Down through Brooklands they go, and Antrobus gets through cleanly. Dalton Hayward now sits in behind, and then, Antrobus in fact immediately tries to get up the inside of Harley Connolly. Now remember, Harley spun going out of Kopp's corner on the second lap of the race. He was stone dead last at one point, and he's into 7th place now as other people have started to have trouble. So Harley Connolly was not lost despite that early drama. We're only halfway through the race and he's started to pick his way back through the order quite nicely. His next target will be Luke Armstrong, and he is, well, some 5.5 seconds up the road, so that will take some doing. Then in 5th place, Kira Harris, who didn't race last time at Donington Park, but she's having a good run in the top 5. There she is. And the driver who seemingly races under a Canadian flag comes out of Beckett's corner with Luke Armstrong right on her tail. So good battle this now for the last place within the top 5. Armstrong's going to, again, carry that speed down the Wellington Straight to the outside line, gets his nose ahead, but who's going to be bravest on the brakes? Into Brooklands corner, on board with Kira Harris. She's slightly later, and she's got the shorter run through the turn, and that's going to mean that she gets that 5th place straight back again. So typical Silverstone racing, that between the two of them. Good, clean racing as well, which is what we like to see. Now, bear that comment in mind as we cut back to what looks like a very adventurous battle going on further back. Albert Henriksen Bell trying to get back ahead of James Pepper, whilst Hayden Gray keeps a watching brief in behind. Pepper with a very odd line out of Luffield. Almost seemed to get a bit of oversteer there as he was on the throttle coming out of the right-hander. And again, hugs the inside line out of Woodcote corner, not wanting to leave an opening on the right-hand side of the road into Kopp's, but that might not stop Henriksen Bell from just trying to go around the outside. No, that's not going to work. So cuts back in behind, picks up that slipstream maybe, or actually pulls out of the slipstream very early. Had such a good exit from Kopp's that he's already got the overlap, and he might have bought himself a ticket to the inside line here. Through Maggots. No, Pepper just manages to get back in front of him. Of course, Henriksen Bell's got to be careful of Hayden Gray behind. Pepper runs wide, though, and that will give Henriksen Bell surely the opportunity now to draw level down the Wellington Straight. But where did Hayden Gray go in all of that? He's picking up a double slipstream. And he might well try and make this 3 wide before we get into the braking zone. Well, he goes to the inside of James Pepper, but just at the moment that Henriksen cleared Pepper, so we're not 3 wide, but Pepper is going to lose 2 places here, I think. Certainly one to Henriksen Bell, and, well, no, Hayden Gray can't complete the pass, and now he finds himself on the outside into Luffield corner on board with Pepper. Very close to a little bit of paint being traded there, but they just kept it clean, I reckon. Wide line for Gray keeps him ahead. More momentum on the exit of the corner from going around the outside. And he will move back ahead of James Pepper again. Front of the field, by the way, you're not missing anything. 2.1 seconds now between Nathan Williams and George Robinson. So George Robinson is fading more and more, actually, now with every lap. Oh, as James Pepper nearly loses control at the exit of Kopp's corner. Just dip 2 wheels out onto the AstroTurf, which, as in real life, does not yield a huge amount of grip. So, did well to gather that together. Fastest corner on the track. Kopp's, not a place that you want to suddenly have a car snapping sideways on you. as Harley Connolly discovered earlier in the race when he had his spin there, but he's running in a solid 8th place now. William Antrobus ahead of him now. I think that's a change, perhaps, since we were last catching up with those drivers. But as the race leaders make their way through, Copse again, George Robinson doing his best to give chase, but just can't quite keep up. He's every lap at least a 10th, and actually on the previous lap 3/10 slower than Nathan Williams. Adrian Rios-Garcia there in 3rd position. Louis Neal 4th. Luke Armstrong has now got 5th place, so ahead of Kira Harris. So Kira down to 6th, but sticking with him. But look, they're both being caught, aren't they, by Antrobus and Connolly behind. So this could become a 4-way scrap before much longer. Kira there just running a bit wide over the runoff area, and Luke actually picking up some of the grass coming off Beckett's. Slowing down one bit though, and he starts now to scorch away from Kira Harris down into Brooklands corner. Onto the brakes. See again the different lines there. That's where that wider line is maybe the line I would prefer to take. You saw that Luke Armstrong took the tight line and just tightened the steering up a bit too much going into the apex, lost the rear of the car, and now he's a bit too eager on the throttle through Luffield corner as well. So a couple of mistakes creeping in here for Luke Armstrong. So he tries to break away from Kira Harris. That will be giving Kira some hope, maybe, that 5th place could once again become hers. We've got just over 5 minutes to go. And Kira Harris being caught rapidly, both of these being caught rapidly, in fairness, by Harley Connolly and William Antrobus behind. So it's a question of whether Harris will catch Armstrong first or whether she'll be overhauled by Antrobus. I suspect it might be the latter of those options. On board now with Antrobus in 7th, as again Luke runs very wide up in the distance. Did he make the corner? I think he did, but he lost a lot of time as a result. That bunches them all back together, and Antrobus will now pick up a slipstream heading down into the back end of the Wellington Straight, but he's not going to be close enough. That slipstream effect not quite as powerful as he'd have liked, as he rolls his way through Brooklands. Much more mid-corner speed though, sees a gap up the inside into Luffield, and there's contact, and around goes Antrobus again. Now, I have to say, from the on-board footage, I couldn't really see an awful lot that William did wrong there. Don't think Kira expected him to go for that gap, but he was perfectly entitled to do so. He made the apex, and unfortunately, he was the one who came out of that worst, so he drops back behind Harley Connolly and Dalton Hayward and Liam Bradley, as Kira actually is coming back now at Luke Armstrong for 5th place. So this has really changed around the dynamic of this battle. Luke again wide, even wider actually than he went last lap, and that I think is going to invite Kira straight through into 5th spot. Yes, it does. So Kira Harris back into the top 5. Luke Armstrong, I don't think I've seen him hit an apex in about 2.5 laps. He's really charging off into the corners. Suddenly, Harley Connolly could be on course to benefit from all of this as well. Could even get a top 5 after a spin at the start of the 2nd lap. That would be a remarkable fight back. A result that I think he would have taken if you'd have offered it to him at the early part of the race. Lock up there on the inside for Luke Armstrong as he nips back ahead of Kira Harris, who's going to try and come back at him now into Luffield, and ironically gets the same treatment nearly that she gave to Antrobus a lap ago. Thankfully this time contact and loss of control is averted, and she slams the door in the face of Harley Connolly, who gives her a little bump draft through Woodcote corner. That's fair enough really in Ginetta Junior Racing. It actually helps Kira, gives her the extra boost of momentum that she needed to get back alongside Luke Armstrong. And she's going to try and slide back through at Copse corner. Harley Connolly played that to perfection though. He sort of pushed Kira into that move, which delayed both of the cars ahead, and he's going to sweep past the pair of them. So Luke Armstrong up from Harley Connolly up from 7th to 5th place. So Harris gets ahead of Armstrong again, but immediately loses a spot. Might now get a chance to get it back though, because Harley Connolly runs very wide going out of Beckett's corner, and that's going to give Kira the run underneath the bridge. Again, she's forced to go the long way round. Can go right round the outside at Brooklands, but requires a lot of room to be left by the car on your inside. They all really clamber that curve on the inside line, and again Kira's left the door open and just turns across the nose of Luke Armstrong. If you're going to leave the door open going into Luffield, you have to expect people to try and fill that gap. But, at some point, I can see that ending in contact again. Let's hope not. We've got a minute and 40 to go, so at least 2 more laps remaining. The race leader now, Nathan Williams, by 3.1 seconds over Robinson second, Garcia third, Louis Neal fourth place now. Good recovery drive this from him. Harley Connolly fifth, Kira Harris sixth, Luke Armstrong seventh, Dalton Hayward eighth, ahead of William Antrobus ninth, and Liam Bradley in 10th place. This then is the fight for 11th place. Albert Henriksen Bell hasn't really recovered in quite the way I expected him to. Maybe his car's got some damage after the contact earlier on. But this part of the circuit, Hayden Gray sat in behind him right now as they head down the Wellington Straight. That is Oliver Newton having a spin, or recovering from a spin, at Copse Corner, as there Luke Armstrong again wayward through Brooklands Corner, and an even more wayward moment for Dalton Hayward, who, well, will be ruining this race really, won't he? It was a race that could have yielded a podium finish maybe, but he's now slipped back down to 10th place after that latest moment that he's had at Brooklands Corner. Luke Armstrong drops away from Kira Harris slightly as a result of his slide as well. We do now go on to the final lap of the race. And Nathan Williams, with that 3.1 second cushion, just been counting down the laps really, waiting for the checkered flag to fly. All of the action's been behind him, but of course he and Robinson and Garcia, they're all going to have to pick their way through that mess in race number 2, because it is a full reversed grid. So out of Luffield Corner he will come then. Nathan Williams with Oliver Newton ahead, actually about to put a lap on Oliver after Newton's spin. And Oliver, is he going to get out of the way? I don't think he is. He's a bit slower through Woodcote, but I don't think Nathan Williams is going to pass him before the line, where the checkered flag awaits. And for a third time this season, it is a victory for Nathan Williams. Nathan Williams gets some crucial points back against the championship leader George Robinson, who does still finish in second place. Third place then for Adrian Rios Garcia, and fourth position should go the way eventually of Louis Neal. He's going to make his way out of Woodcote Corner now. There he goes. He had a pretty lonely race in the end, but fourth place is where he's going to end up. And then Harley Connolly we're expecting next. Here he comes. What a great drive that from Harley. I know he was a bit lucky with other people having their own issues, but still, to come from a spin at the start of the race to finish in the top 5 is not bad going. Kira Harris 6th, and then right on the line, look, Luke Armstrong just pipping William Antrobus to 7th position. So Antrobus nearly got past him. In the end, it was Armstrong 7th, Antrobus 8th, Liam Bradley 9th, and Albert Henriksen Bell completing the top 10. So that is race number 1 of the evening done. And as I said, we will have that second race still to come a little bit later on with the full reversed grid, but a fantastic drive from Nathan Williams, who claims the win with George Robinson in second position and Adrian in third place. So yeah, good stuff there from all of our top 3 drivers, who we really didn't see a lot of in that race, but that's not always a bad thing. And we do already have, I think, some of the drivers filtering into the commentary box. So let's start our post-race interviews with our race winner, Nathan Williams. Nathan, congratulations. That went pretty much exactly to plan, wasn't it? You said that you wanted to build a gap, pull away at the front of the field, and that's exactly what you were able to do. Were you surprised at quite how easily you were able to break the draft there and pull away?
Yeah, it's quite. I think George is just slightly pushing the car too much, and just again some slight oversteer, which pushed him off the circuit and just lost a bit of time.
Yeah, we saw a lot of drivers in that race actually struggling on corner entry. Talk us through the way that you have to drive these cars then to get them into a corner, like, for example, Brooklands at the end of the back straight, without losing control, because a lot of drivers really seem to be struggling with that.
Well, sometimes you just have to delay your downshift a bit, or it's also a possibility to lip the throttle, just to bathe the rear a bit and stop you going into a spin.
So you make that sound very, very easy. I'm sure most of us would find it a bit of a challenge, but you certainly seem to have figured it out. An important race win there. You've got to now try and do the double, haven't you, in a way? If you can win the race, then great, but if absolutely nothing else, you've got to try and beat your big championship rival again in race 2, but it all becomes a lot less easy to manage when it's a reversed grid.
Yes, I think the goal is just to get through the field as quick as possible. try and avoid any risks in spinning out again like last round, and then after that, I think it's obviously hopefully get the win and break George's streak of second race wins.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Well, Nathan, congratulations. Perfect start to your evening. Best of luck for race 2.
Thank you.
So Nathan Williams then with the race 1 victory, as we heard, outscoring the championship leader George Robinson. But George joins us now in the commentary box as well. And, well, some good points scored, at least, George. But I'm sure you're a bit disappointed that you weren't quite able to go with Nathan there and take the fight to him.
Yeah, if I hadn't made so many mistakes, I think I probably could have taken the fight to him towards the end. And then it would have been a close race.
Would you agree with his assessment then that maybe you were pushing a bit too hard to try and keep up, or is there something in the handling of the car that you're just not quite happy with?
Probably just downshifting a bit too early, causing the rear to slide.
Which you've got to be really gentle with, of course, to try and get through the corners without losing time and, crucially, losing momentum. It's a real momentum circuit, this one, and that's going to be key in race 2 when it comes to overtaking as well. We saw in that first race the slipstream isn't quite as powerful as perhaps some of us thought it would be, so what's the game plan in this second race? You've got to try and make some progress, but it's not going to be easy to do.
Probably keep Nathan behind as much as I can and work my way through the pack whilst keeping Nathan behind.
Okay, well, if it's as easy as you make it sound, then I'll be pleasantly surprised. But George, congratulations on that second place finish and best of luck for race 2.
Thank you.
So they were your top 2 finishers, both of them familiar figures on the podium, but our third place driver made his first appearance on the podium in that race. Adrian Rios Garcia joins us now, and Adrian, well done. You must be really happy to have got that first podium of the season.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I have been practicing a lot to have this good time.
Yeah, it is one of those tracks that you have to really, really practice, isn't it? Because it looks very simple, but it's quite a difficult track, this.
Yeah, it could be difficult in the curves because you can go out.
And you're going to be in a big pack of cars now in race 2. Are you excited for this reversed grid race?
No, I think I'm going to do good being in the big pack of cars.
Excellent. Well, we wish you the best of luck for that second race and congratulations on that first podium. Hopefully the first of many.
Thanks.
So Adrian Rios Garcia then third position, and he is, as you can hear, very happy to have made it onto the podium here at Silverstone. Now, race number 2, reversed grid, as we've been mentioning, and that means that we're going to have the quick drivers coming from the back, and then some of those who had problems in race 1 coming from the front. And one driver who immediately my attention is drawn to is Dalton Hayward, because we saw him qualified in the top 5 for race 1. He's going to be starting 4th this time in the green and yellow number 68 car, but he's only that far up the grid because he had some bad luck in race 1 and had that little collision, didn't he, at the first corner. So he should be a contender maybe for a race win. Dalton Hayward has not yet had a podium finish, despite actually being pretty quick, I seem to recall, at both of the first 2 rounds of the season. So Dalton Hayward definitely a driver worth watching here. Whilst we've got Hayden Gray, also in 5th place. Remember, he came through from towards the back of the field, did make a good bit of progress initially before, again, finding some trouble midway through the race. And then keep an eye to those coming from a little bit further back as well. Your top 3 from the earlier race: Nathan Williams, George Robinson, Adrian Rios Garcia, starting 15th, 14th and 13th places respectively, and they are going to be hoping that it is possible to do lots of overtaking around here. Certainly there's the space to do it, but that slipstream not quite as strong maybe as we thought it might be, and so that means you've got to be brave under brakes. You've got to carry the momentum off the corners. That is the way perhaps to try and make some progress then in round number 6 of the official Ginetta Junior eSeries, which is about to burst into life here on the Silverstone National Circuit. The red lights go on, they go out now, And from the front of the grid, pretty even start from the front row drivers. Good start made as well there, further back by Hayden Gray. But who is going to get the advantage? Is it going to be Oliver Newton? Yes, it is going to be Oliver Newton who leads them through the first corner. James Pepper there trying to come around the outside at Copse. And he's up into third place already, maybe about to go into second ahead of Finn Richardson. Let's see whether he can make that stick as they barrel down towards Beckett's for the first time. Oliver Newton then with the advantage, but what's going on for second place? James Pepper late on the brakes, round the outside, and he does manage to squeeze through into P2. Now, what about the championship rivals? Well, there you can see them in the background, either side of Louis Neal, I think they are, George Robinson and Nathan Williams. Someone on the grass there on the right-hand side exiting Beckett's. That might have been Kira Harris, maybe. I think she's a bit slow going on to the Wellington Straight. You're on board with Louis Neal. Now you're on board with Nathan Williams, though. That is George Robinson ahead. And we're going up the inside line already into Brooklands Corner. The two championship rivals side by side, yet again on the opening lap of the race. And Nathan knows the importance of getting ahead. He got into the lead on the second lap, actually, of race one and never looked back. But George Robinson knows how important it's going to be to keep that number 5 car behind him. They are still door to door as they slice and dice their way through the traffic. And these two with a quite clear pace advantage over the rest of the field right now. Out of Woodcote Corner, down towards Copse they go at the end of lap 1. James Pepper leads the way. Richardson second, Hayden Gray third. So Oliver Newton down to fourth already in the pink car. There goes Robinson up the inside of Luke Armstrong now, that was. Which means he's up into 8th position. Armstrong exits stage left, and Harley Connolly yet again on the second lap at Copse Corner. Exactly the same lap and exactly the same corner as race 1 where he had a spin, and it looks like he's had a similar incident in race number 2. So he once again is going to be on the comeback drive. Ride once more with Nathan Williams, who still hasn't found a way past Robinson. Yes, they're making good progress through the field, but Robinson doing a good job actually to keep him behind. Williams, though, gets a good run now in that slipstream down the Wellington Straight. Is he going to go to the outside? No, he sees a gap on the inside. Does he commit to the move? I think he's got to at this point. He's halfway alongside already. Gets to the inside line. Nice move if he can make it stick, and I think he will. Nathan Williams ahead of George Robinson. That's Kira Harris off, maybe related to the spin for Louis Neal that's happened at the same corner. But back to this absolutely fantastic battle going on between George Robinson and Nathan Williams. They are still side by side, and Nathan Williams still hasn't made this move stick, actually. Robinson coming back at him. William Antrobus we're riding on board with now. He's got a grandstand view, but he doesn't just want to be an interested bystander. He wants to get involved. Goes up the inside of both of them. There's a bit of a squeeze going on there. Oh, that was dodgy stuff indeed from Nathan Williams. He almost got himself turned around the nose of 2 cars, but he just managed to keep it clean, and he does now get the better of George Robinson. So Nathan Williams into 6th, now goes up the inside of Finn Richardson for 5th place. And that could be the decisive moment in the race then, but brilliant. They were side by side for basically the first 3 laps of racing. That was terrific stuff. Well, that's not so terrific. That's Luke Armstrong with a spin at Beckett's, and he will rejoin well, not quite the tail end of the field, but the tail end, I think, of the lead group. With Finn Richardson now, 8th position for him. He's slipping down the order slightly. William Antrobus just ahead of us. Ahead of him, the battle between the top 2 in the points. Nathan Williams, George Robinson. Pretty evenly matched in qualifying every week, but the last 2 weeks we've seen a definite speed advantage in race 1 anyway for Nathan Williams. But of course a week ago it was this reverse grid race where it all went wrong for the number 5 car. He needs to now try and put together 2 solid races to try and really go toe-to-toe with George in the championship race. James Pepper then leading the way. James Pepper has had 1 podium finish, a 2nd place finish earlier on this season, the Cool Camel car, with a good lead. Look at that, nearly 2 seconds ahead of Hayden Gray in 2nd place, Liam Bradley in 3rd, Henriksen Bell was 4th, it's now Nathan Williams apparently, because he's sweeping around the outside of Henriksen Bell at Beckett's corner. And does Albert leave him space on the exit? Yes, he will. Leaves him plenty of space, actually. Takes a very tight line. And I don't think that's really going to pay off for him. Now, George Robinson going with Nathan. Again, is he content to work with his title rival for now? Or does he choose to try and make a move maybe himself on the run into Brooklands Corner? He's close enough to think about it. And that's why Nathan Williams pulls to the inside to defend. Still got Henriksen Bell part of this as well. Robinson trying to go right round the outside. That might just work. You know, he's got the inside line for Luffield Corner. And that was really brave stuff. And this might just pay off for him. He's got the inside through Luffield. Leans slightly on Robinson. Leans on him again. Robinson out into the gravel. And Henriksen Bell gets a run on the pair of them. That was the first real sign of fisticuffs between our 2 title rivals. And look, it's really delayed the race 1 winner now. Nathan Williams drops down another place behind William Antrobus. and he won't be particularly happy with that. But if you're going to try and hang it tough around the outside at someone at Luffield, then you kind of have to expect maybe the rough treatment on corner exit. Now Nathan's got to try and regroup again, then gets up alongside William Antrobus for 6th place. Ahead of him, look, you've got Albert Henricks and Bell trying to come back at George Robinson, actually, as they round Beckett's corner. So Williams back ahead of Antrobus, but for how long, I wonder, because Williams had a better run, I think, out of Beckett. No, decides better of that one, pulls back into the slipstream. Will sit on the rear bumper of Nathan Williams for a little bit. Williams then jinks to the inside to cover into Brooklands. This is not going according to plan for the race 1 winner. Doesn't want to let there become too much separation between himself and George Robinson, who's now up into 4th place in the running order. Round Luffield then towards Woodcote Corner. Nathan Williams with maybe an opportunity now just to catch his breath and regroup a little bit. We're about a third of the way through the race, still plenty of time to go here. Gets a nice run here on Albert Henricks and Bell, looks to the inside at Copse Corner. Oh, visibly later on the brakes, look at that. But then, unlike some others who we've seen try to make those late braking manoeuvres, he makes the apex. He doesn't run wide on the exit of the corner, doesn't sacrifice his corner exit speed at all, and manages to make the move nice and cleanly. So he's up into the top 5 again. Robinson, though, is on the tail of Liam Bradley, and Hayden Gray has suddenly caught James Pepper for the race lead. So the top 2 absolutely nose to tail. In fact, they might be side by side almost by the time they get down to the end of the Wellington Straight. So this is all concertinaing together, isn't it? We've got James Pepper, the race leader, Hayden Gray putting the challenge on now. This gap was 2 seconds only a few laps ago. In fact, even a lap ago, it was over a second, so it's suddenly shot down. There must have been a mistake somewhere for Pepper, which allowed Hayden to close in. And Bradley 3rd. Robinson here on board with him 4th place. Now he wants to try and get a move on here before Nathan Williams catches him. Nathan's about a second behind. You can see him in the wing mirrors there, so George Robinson doesn't really want to waste any time here if he can help it. Wants to try and clear Bradley quickly, but wants to do it without losing too much momentum. So attacking at Copse isn't a great idea, although it does force a mistake out of Liam Bradley, who runs way wide and makes it as easy as it can be, really, for George Robinson. And through he goes up into 3rd place. But Williams has gained some out of all of that, gained the 10th or so through Copse. He now needs to try and get past Liam Bradley, which he does at the very next corner. So that was a definite gain for Williams. It didn't take him as long to get past Liam Bradley as it did George Robinson. As a result, the gap comes down by a 10th or so. Further back, there's Kira Harris slipping up the inside of Louis Neal. It's 11th place now for 2 drivers who both really should have been at the pointy end in this race, but that's the way the reverse grid races can go sometimes. Back at the front of the field, Hayden Gray here, continuing to apply the pressure to James Pepper, but that pressure that he is applying to the race leader, he's very shortly going to be experiencing himself, I think, because George Robinson is a-coming. He's almost with the top 2. 7/10, 8/10 or so behind as they come out of Woodcote Corner. Move closer and closer now towards half race distance. Defensive line taken by Pepper across the line. He doesn't really need to be doing that, though, because Robinson isn't close enough. In fairness, he drifts back over to the racing line again before they turn in. George Robinson with the fastest lap as well now has started to close in visibly on these 2. Bonus point, remember, for setting the fastest lap as well, but it's the race win points that Hayden Gray is thinking about right now as he tries to get up the inside of James Pepper. But look, that failed overtaking attempt has just lost them both momentum. It's allowed George Robinson to close in, and George is going to really want to get these moves made as quickly as possible. Pulls to the outside of Hayden now, down towards Brooklands Corner. Hayden sort of boxed in behind James Pepper. He gets sideways. That was a very dicey moment for Robinson, with the car on the inside getting very out of shape. Could easily have sideswiped the championship frontrunner. Thankfully, they kept it clean. All of a sudden, Nathan Williams is part of this battle as well. So they've both driven brilliantly to come through the field whilst also battling with each other. It's been probably the best race of the season, this, for that reason. These 2 are definitely the storyline, aren't they, this year? But in these reversed grid races, even in this one, nothing separating them at all. As we do now get George Robinson to the lead. And where did Pepper go? He was way wide out of Copse Corner. Well, Hayden Gray actually coming back at Nathan Williams now. Looks, this is all going to get very busy because they both got a run on James Pepper. Robinson then to the lead. Who is going to come out of this with second place? It could well be Nathan Williams. He's got the inside line. Hayden Gray has a big moment going into the corner. Pepper goes through. On the inside as well goes William Antrobus. And, well, just like that, they're all together. Look, we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 of them, I think. 8 of them, in fact, together. This gap now, the battle goes all the way back to Dalton Hayward in 8th place. Hearing there was a bit of contact there, maybe, that sent Hayden Gray out wide at Beckett. So he's not going to be best pleased with that, but we once again have our 2 championship protagonists filling up the top 2 places on the road, and the battle going on behind them for 3rd. William Antrobus wants to go with them here, doesn't he? William was 4th in the points coming into tonight, so he's not out of this championship picture, but he needs to start beating Robinson and Williams as soon as he possibly can. Out of Woodcote, down into Copse Corner. And Antrobus slides on by. Oh, and almost gets served from behind by James Pepper, who runs wide. That backs him up into Hayden Gray. And Liam Bradley and Albert Henriksen-Bell and Dalton Hayward. Adrian Reyes Garcia having a quieter race, isn't he? In 9th place, he's about 5 seconds behind this group, but the more they fight, the closer he might start to get. And the outside goes Pepper. Gray on the inside. Oh, and Pepper bouncing over the grass there as he exits Beckett's, heads out onto the Wellington Straight. And into the braking zone, where Liam Bradley now jinks to the inside at the last second. There's more to defend from Henriksen, I think, than it was to attack Pepper ahead of him. Right on board with now, and Pepper getting sideways. I don't think there was contact that time. That was just a bit too much right foot as he came out of Luffield corner. So Liam Bradley gets the run, carries the momentum round the outside line, on board without Albert Henriksen-Bell. Ahead of the field, Nathan Williams has caught George Robinson as well, so that's worth keeping an eye on. Those two are absolutely together, in fact, as they head down towards Beckett's corner. Where Nathan might be shaping up for a move. Here he comes, look, he's pulling to the outside line, side by side for the race lead then. And George Robinson is going to have some defending to do now. Dead level, onto the brakes, into Beckett, still a third of the race to go. And George Robinson is really coming under fire now. Nathan Williams sees a chance to try and get the double race victory here tonight. Maybe not the cleanest of gear changes there as he came out of Beckett's corner. Now he pulls out of the slipstream, carries that extra momentum that the slipstream gives him to the outside line. Who's going to be bravest on the brakes? Does he want to try and risk going right around the outside? No, chooses to cut back to the late apex. Sensible stuff, really. Seen already that Robinson's not afraid to get the elbows out when he's battling with Nathan Williams. Both of them know the significance of this battle. They keep on trading race victories the way they have thus far this season, then any opportunity you get to beat your opponent is going to be crucial. Get 35 points for winning a race, 30 for finishing in second place. So this battle for the win is a battle for an extra 5 championship points in a championship race that was only separated by 2 points coming into tonight. So it's really important for both drivers, this. Out of Copse they go down towards Beckett. William Antrobus flashing the lights at them as well as he tries to join in the fun. He's got a great view now as Nathan Williams switches and swipes from side to side and then jinks to the inside at Beckett's corner. Takes the lead away, or does he? Nathan Williams comes back, George Robinson comes back at him round the outside line, and Antrobus is suddenly right there with them. So William Antrobus could make this a 3-way fight. He has made it a 3-way fight realistically, and he now pulls to the outside down towards the end of the Wellington Straight they go, in front of the BRDC grandstand, and into Brooklands corner. Up the inside goes Nathan Williams. That's going to be contact. Surely it is contact. They're both sideways. Through will go William Antrobus, and around goes George Robinson. He's collected by Liam Bradley, and that was fairly inevitable, really, the way in which they were racing each other. That was a very small gap. It was a very difficult move to pull off, and well, that will be discussed afterwards, I'm absolutely sure. William Antrobus then picks up the race lead. Williams second. Hayden Gray goes to third. And where did Robinson end up? He's down in 9th place. And, well, a week ago, it was Nathan Williams who had the disastrous second race of the night. And this week, it may well be George Robinson, but at the hands of his championship rival. Well, that could be a big, big talking point. It's been all very cordial so far this season, but in a title race as tight as this one, It was always likely to boil over at some point. Of course, this race isn't over yet. We've still got 5 minutes to go. And now William Antrumus has a real chance at claiming a first victory of the season. He's 1.4 seconds clear of Williams. Oh, that's James Pepper off the road. That, I think, is on the entry to... No, it's the exit of Cops, isn't it? So has he crashed or pulled over? I'm not entirely sure. He's not going anywhere, is he? Though that almost suggests it's something like a hardware failure for James Pepper. Anyway, his race seems to be done. With only Oliver Newton, the pole man, still sat behind him. So, 4.5 minutes to go. There is George Robinson. He's just slipped past Louis Neal. So Robinson up to 8th place, but he's 7 seconds now behind the next group of cars. I don't think he's going to catch them in 4.25 minutes. So it's not looking like he's going to score particularly well out of this race. With Williams at the moment second, scoring 30 points, while Robinson for 8th place would score only 14. So that's where you can suddenly start to see the big difference in points, a big point swing perhaps one way or the other. Louis Neal trying to come back at Robinson now, actually, around the outside at Copse, past the stricken car of James Pepper. Quite clearly isn't going anywhere right now. We got back to Hayden Gray, sat in 4th position. Albert Henriksen ahead in 3rd, but that lead gap coming down again now, 9/10 of a second only between Antrumus and Williams. Very interesting to get Nathan's thoughts on that after the race, assuming he makes it onto the podium, of course, which he should do, barring any more incidents. Luffield corner there. This is a good battle going on. Dalton Hayward up alongside Adrian Rios Garcia. Now, we haven't seen a lot of Adrian actually in either race so far tonight, but he's knocking on the door of a top 5 again here. Bradley is his next target, then Hayden Gray. And then actually the podium not that far away, because Albert Henriksen Bell is in 3rd place right now, only a second ahead of this group. 3 minutes to go though, so running out of time. Around the outside here of George Robinson goes Harley Connolly, so Louis Neal's got back ahead of Robinson, and so too now has Harley Connolly. You have to imagine that Robinson's got some damage, because the initial contact wasn't too bad, but he was then subsequently collected by someone. And yeah, you can see, look, he's having to steer left down the straights because the steering's out or the tracking's out. So he has got quite big damage, and that's going to massively hinder now his chances of improving position. 10th place then is where he runs right now. That would score him just the 11 championship points. Of course, this all remains a bit provisional after that contact, not apportioning any blame, but as soon as there is contact like that, you can be sure it will be looked at after the race, as Adrian Rios Garcia maybe made a bit of contact there with Hayden Gray. Slips out wide and allows Dalton Hayward up the inside briefly, but that becomes the outside again then at Luffield corner. Hayden Gray is going to stand his ground and stay in front. Now, 2 laps to go, and the leaders are nose to tail again. Here they are. Now, William Antrumus is not going to let Nathan Williams through without a fight. That is for sure. There's a first victory of the season on the line here for William, and he is going to make that Ginetta G40 the widest Ginetta at Silverstone, but it's not quite wide enough. Nathan Williams got the much better exit from Copse, draws alongside, and he's going to have that inside line down towards Beckett's corner. Can William Antrumus outbrake him round the outside line? If he can hang around the outside, he should have better momentum down the back straight, but no, through goes Williams, and for the second time tonight he leads the way. But for how much longer? Antrumus with a better exit pulls back level again, and it's now a drag race down the Wellington Straight. Antrumus came off the corner more quickly, but he's on the outside line for Brooklands, and that's not usually the place to be. We're going to have one more lap to go at the end of this one. On the inside line is Nathan Williams. I think he should be able to slide back through. Yes, he does. So Williams back to the front, and William Antrumus will have one more lap to try and do something about him now. If he can get that slipstream, try and carry some speed down the pit straight, he might be able to put the pressure on into Copse corner, but it's a good exit there from Williams out of the final turn. Well, this is the final turn technically at Woodcote, but it's easy flat out in these Ginetta Junior cars. So right on board with the second place of those. William Antrumus trying his best now to close in on Nathan Williams. Through Copse corner, Williams really slides the car. Beautiful 4-wheel drift through there. Didn't lose any speed as a result of that. Carries that speed all the way down then into the braking zone at Beckett's. And now I think he probably is more or less out of reach. So a bruising race at times this, a controversial one perhaps. So we'll have to wait and see what the race director makes of that contact that was made between Nathan Williams and George Robinson. I'm sure both drivers will have their own opinions. We might even be able to get Nathan Williams to share his opinions with us after this race, because it does look as though he's destined for his second victory of the night, what will be his fourth victory of the season, and he will now start to distance himself a little bit more in the championship as well. Through Brooklands into the right-hander at Luffield they go, and William Antrobus put up a good fight. He looked in really to the race lead there for a brief moment. In the end, wasn't able to keep Nathan Williams behind. It's going to be a double race victory here at Silverstone. First driver to achieve that so far this season, and it is the championship leader, Nathan Williams, who wins both races here at the home of British Motor Racing. William Antrobus comes home in second place, Albert Henriksen Bell third, and Adrian Reyes Garcia nearly made the podium again. He surely has to be a candidate for driver of the round, I would say. Adrian, third place in race one, a fourth in race two, and I really didn't see him getting involved in too much of the pushing and shoving either. Hayden Gray comes home in fifth, Liam Bradley sixth, Dalton Hayward seventh, Louis Neal eighth, Harley Connolly ninth, and George Robinson a disappointed 10th place finish in the end for the driver who, for much of that race, actually looked as though he could be on course for a race victory, but that little bit of contact that he had with Nathan Williams sent him around. The subsequent contact was the one that really damaged the car, and well, that was unfortunately the end of his chances of scoring well. 10th place, the best that he can do, and well, that will be a talking point, I'm sure, when we get out of the race. And in fact, we already can start our post-race discussions, because we've got our podium finishers now in the commentary box. And for the second time tonight, it's Nathan Williams who's the first car across the start-finish line. I've got to ask you though, Nathan, about that little collision that you had with George. We saw it from the external view. I'm sure you had a very different view of it from inside the car. What was your take on that?
Obviously, it's very sad to see a battle end like that, but from my point of view, I was alongside, I was just squeezed a bit too much. I just ended up having to put a wheel on the grass to avoid contact, and that just led to me understeering a bit.
Ah, okay, so I hadn't seen that from the external view then. There was a wheel on the grass going in. It is a shame, because that was a terrific battle, and I really enjoyed watching you two coming through the field together, but also trading positions a number of times, and that does require a lot of respect really to be shown between the two of you to be able to do that cleanly.
Yeah, I think there's a couple moments of contact, but apart from that, it was a quite good battle, and I think we both managed to work together to get through the field quite well, and obviously we both wanted to advance our positions as much as possible.
Which you ultimately were successful in doing. You got to the lead, obviously dropped back again after that contact, and then William put up a good fight as well, didn't he?
Yeah, it's a very good fight from him. I was quite surprised, and yeah, he's done quite well second there.
Yeah, second place for him, but a double race victory for you, the first driver to achieve that so far this season. Do you feel like this is now giving you a bit more momentum in the championship race? Are you feeling a bit of extra spring in your step now heading into the next week?
Yeah, it's the first race about the first weekend where I've had no contact, and obviously it's been, well, no contact that's caused me to spin out, and obviously it's going quite well, so I hope I can continue this onto the next round and hopefully the round after that.
Well, we wish you the best of luck with that, Nathan, but huge congratulations. Really well driven tonight, and 2 race victories here at Silverstone. Well done.
Thank you.
So Nathan Williams, the race winner, but as we just heard from him, he enjoyed the battle that he had with William Antrobus for the race lead there. And William, if that race had been a lap or so shorter, you might just have been able to claim a first victory of the season. That was as close as it gets.
Yeah, I really think it was really close between me and Nathan, but I think my tyres went off at the end and I was like struggling to keep up with him, but I would take a second on the chin and it's good championship points, but I would have loved the first, just couldn't keep up with him in my opinion.
You mentioned the tyres were going away. You don't necessarily think about tyre management much in Ginetta Junior Racing. Where exactly was that hurting you? Was it on corner exit, corner entry? How were you feeling the tyres going away?
I think it was just when I was sliding, I thought, oh, I think we're going to be losing some time here. And I think that was later on in the race. And I was like, okay, just chill out. And then everything was settled. And then I tried to have a battle with Liam, and we had a great little battle, but Liam got ahead and drove off. But yeah,
it's great to have you on the podium there. Your second place finish of the season so far. So that win, it feels like the win is coming, but it's not easy to win races in this championship, is it? Especially when you're up against people like Nathan.
Yeah, it's really tough. Like, you got people like George and Nathan. I'm not the fastest of people, but I know what I'm doing in, like, say, reverse races when I start in, like, mid-pack, and then I know how to get to the front, and it's, like, a matter of when, if the leaders are going to crash, because I saw Nathan and George were battling, so I was like, I'll wait here for a minute and see what happens, and then when the crash happened, I took advantage of it and took the lead. So yeah.
Worked out nicely for you, and a solid second place finish. Hopefully not the last time we'll see you on the podium this season. William, congratulations.
Thank you.
So William Antrobus, second place for the second time this season, but it is a third place finish, and I think I'm right in saying a first podium of the season for Albert Henriksen-Bell. Albert, well done on that podium finish, and you sort of crept your way into the podium places in that race. You were having a solid race, and then sometimes you just need a bit of good luck, don't you, to get you that extra step forward.
Yes, quite well. I was really enjoying watching the battle between William and Nathan. Looked like absolutely incredible driving, but yeah, solid result.
Solid. I mean, I'm sure this is hopefully the start of bigger things as the season goes on. A race win would be nice to have in the near future, but how satisfied are you with the way that your season's been going so far?
First race could have gone better, but second race was okay. This race, though, has just shown I have something to hope for the next few.
Of course, heading to some very different racetracks now, though, through the rest of the season. Silverstone National, perhaps one of the simpler tracks to learn. How familiar are you with some of the tracks that we're going to be racing at in the coming weeks?
Well, Snetterton have only done one race round there before the league I used to be part of, so I'm going to have to get quite a lot of practice in there.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy circuit, so we will let you get on with that, Albert, but big congratulations. Great to have a new name on the podium, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again soon.
Thank you very much.
So Albert Henriksen-Bell rounds out the podium places. Now, one driver who just missed out on the podium in that race was Adrian Reyes-Garcia. He has, though, it has been decided, he's been named as the recipient of the Driver of the Round award for this week. So congratulations to Adrian for claiming Driver of the Round for two really solid, and from what we could see anyway, really clean races as well. Right then, so that is how things panned out here at Silverstone. In a week's time, we head for Snetterton, as Albert was just saying, the Snetterton 300 circuit that will take us to the midway point of the championship. And, well, what will the next twist in the story be in this fascinating title battle between George and Nathan? What will the fallout be from their collision here at Silverstone? Well, you'll need to tune in at the same time, same place next week for all of the action from the fourth round of the Ginetta Juniors official eSeries. A big thank you from myself, Andy McEwen, to all of you for watching at home, all of the drivers for taking part, and also for everyone on the organisational team for putting this together. We will all be back again at Snetterton in a week's time.